Hello.
Are we good?
You're live.
Oh, there we go. Sorry,
There
I
we
was waiting for the cue.
go. We are
Oh, sorry.
live.
No, you're good.
Action.
Hello. How's everybody doing? My name's Taylor. I'm the mortgage officer here at UFirst Credit Union. This is Beth Manning, one of the people that I work with. She's my absolute favorite. She's a real estate agent. We're going to be going through a bunch of different items today. We're going to take just a couple minutes while people filter in. We'll introduce ourselves. I'll let you go first.
Yes, well, I am Beth Manning. Thanks for joining us for a little bit of time today. We're really hoping we answer your questions. We're sure there are questions with the idea of buying and selling at the same time. There's certainly some logistics and also I think a tad bit of anxiety wrapped around that as well. So my experience working with my clients, that's always been kind of something that we like to talk through, walk through. And so Taylor and I are here to kind of hopefully answer all your questions and help you put some strategy behind your possible idea of buying and selling at the same time. I live in Sugar House. I've been here for 12 years. My husband Paulos, we moved here from Italy. We love Salt Lake. He says we're never leaving. He said he will die in Salt Lake. Let's hope that's not soon. But anywho, yeah, it's really great to be here, and I'm happy to be a resource for you and for our community.
Fantastic. Thanks, Beth. I'm Taylor Riley. As I said, I am jokingly say the mortgage officer. I'm on a group or on a team of, I think there's 7 of us right now, but I'm a mortgage officer here at the credit union. I've worked at credit union since 2005. I've done a variety of jobs at financial institutions, but I've primarily been working as a mortgage officer for the last 10 years. I grew up in Utah, went to Jordan High School, still live in Sandy. Got a wife, 2 kids, and I just love doing mortgages for people. It's been very interesting for me to, in this marketplace, bought my first house in 2006, and to really see everything evolve and be a part of this. I truly believe anybody 40, 45 and younger needs to have their home paid off by the time that they retire. It's going to be a huge asset. So I'm very passionate about it. I love to help people with their mortgages and see how we can be able to get them to accomplish their goals that they have. So with that, I think we'll get started. Sound good?
Well, look at that.
Okay. All right. So we're going to talk today about how to buy and sell at the same time. I would say 3 times a week, I get a call about somebody who owns a home and they're thinking about buying a home or they have found a home. And so I think it's important to really talk about the process and how you can be able to accomplish buying and selling at the same time. When I started to put this webinar together, I thought of something that I see on Instagram all the time, and it's Warren Buffett, and he talks about an idiot with a plan can beat a genius without a plan. And I truly believe this. If you have a plan in place, you may feel deficient in your thought process and you may not have confidence, but if you surround yourself with good people who can be able to help you walk through this, and if you have a good plan, this is going to be a much more successful process for you than if you don't have a plan. So successfully navigating and buying a new home while you own a home can be very, very tricky. And we want to help you stay in front of the curve so that we can be able to help you out. And we are going to break this into 4 steps so that we can be able to help you succeed. All right, so you can fall behind the curve when you are looking at buying a new home when you are currently living in a home very, very easily. And there are not a ton of steps to be able to stay in front of that curve, but there are some key ones that you need to focus on. So we broke this down a little bit. So maybe the perfect home just comes on the market. And if the perfect home comes on the market, you can easily not be prepared to be able to purchase it. But the thing is that if the perfect home comes on the market and you're willing to possibly put an offer on that home, I always ask the question, how much do you currently love your home? So if there is a home that's better that you are thinking about possibly being able to purchase, if that home pops up, my question is, how much do you actually love your home? And I know people fall out of love with their home. My wife fell out of love with our home about 3 years ago. That love's never coming back. So that's where I'm always on. She's always on the hunt, and we always are looking at things because I know how this will go. So I know that this one's hard because we never know when the home's going to pop up. But if you can be able to have an idea of what you're doing, have an idea of where you're at with your equity, in the marketplace and what's going on, that we can be a little bit more prepared. So we have to have a plan to help somebody be prepared, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about a little bit more today. One of the other things that people have a problem with, they think they can qualify for more than they can because they're financially comfortable. There's a lot of reasons why you can't be able to use certain income. And so one of it could be that you own rental properties and you were receiving $2,000 a month in rental income. Well, because of your write-offs, your taxes may not show any income for that. And that could be a little bit of a problem. You may have bonus income that you're starting to receive, or you've had overtime income. You have to have that for a couple of years before you can be able to use that income. You may be a cosigner on somebody else's loan that could be hurting your debt to income ratio. The other person pays it, and it's not something that you are thinking about. So those are just some things that can be able to pop up, that can be able to hurt you. Even though you're financially comfortable, when we're looking at the picture of credit, it's something that we need to pay attention to. The third one, they don't realize how much the new mortgage payment is going to be when we combine it with your other debts. What you said, what's the average home price in Salt Lake County? $550. So when we're looking at that sort of thing, when we see what the price point is for a new home and what your loan amount is going to be, when we couple that with your current debts, home prices have gone up, so payments are going to go up. And so that's something that we need to take a look at to make sure that you're good there. They find a home before their financing is put in place. That's something where you have a preliminary conversation with somebody. You think everything's good. You start looking for a home. You find a home. We don't have everything in place to be able to help you at that juncture. You've skipped some steps there. So we need to make sure that we're following the steps that we need to follow to make sure that we're in a good position. People just get excited. They get a one-track mind. Most of the time, they'll have a conversation with me. They'll have a conversation with their real estate agent. They feel comfortable with everything. And then they start looking for homes, but they didn't do the things that we asked them to do.
Necessary steps.
Yep. And then all of a sudden they find a home and they're like, oh, I found a home. I love this home, Taylor. And I'm like, great. We talked 3 weeks ago, but you haven't done anything that I've asked you to do.
Or you may not even be qualified.
Yeah.
To your point earlier.
So that's something where they get a little bit excited. We need to do the things that we need to do. They don't realize the experience or knowledge the real estate agent and their mortgage consultant have to help them. And so we have plenty of tools and plenty of knowledge to be able to help you take your plan, talk to you and say, okay, this is how we're going to execute your plan. And that's something that's important, to be able to talk about what's important to you, what things you do want to do, what things you don't want to do, what assets you have available, what your finances are, so that we can be able to set up a plan for you. Sometimes people get a little bit uncomfortable and then they think, oh, I can just be able to afford this. They don't want to talk to us about all of this stuff because they don't want to get maybe too far down the rabbit hole. And then all of a sudden they end up in the rabbit hole and we haven't done the things that we need to do. All right, so your first step is to contact your mortgage officer.
Yep.
So you want to contact us so we can be able to discuss your options. We need to talk about how much you can qualify for. We need to talk about how much down payment you need. When you are purchasing a home, when you already own a home, you have to put a minimum of 5% down. You were saying 550, we'll round that up for easy math because I'm not that smart, $600,000. If you're putting 5% down, that's $30,000. So you need to have at least $30,000 to be able to qualify in terms of a down payment. And so when we're looking at that sort of thing, you may have equity in your home. How do we extract that equity? Is that available for you? What type of programs do we have available to be able to move that from one to another? So we need to talk about how much you qualify for with your current debts. We need to talk about how we can be able to use your current equity as a down payment, or do you have a down payment? Do you qualify for both mortgage payments? If you do, you can be able to, it makes it a little bit easier to move from property A to property B if you can qualify for both homes.
Yes, and that would obviously be a worst case scenario, but yeah, qualifying for that obviously would be.
Yeah, I agree. So, and that's when if you could be able to qualify for both, then that makes it easy to be able to do that. But a lot of times people aren't able to do that. A lot of people don't, right? What loan product is best for you? We want to ask you, how long are you planning on being in your home? What's your timeline of getting the home paid off? Do you have anything that's on the horizon? We want to find the best loan product for you so that we can be able to accomplish what you're looking to accomplish.
And if I could just add to that, I have found it interesting in my years of experience that a lot of buyers don't understand there are various types of loans. And I know you and I have chatted about this often, that if you're in your later stages or chapters of your life, a different type of short-term loan, which may pay for closing costs, I believe, might be a better instance, especially if you're only going to be in the house for 3 to 5 years, let's
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So I just want to put an exclamation point behind really reaching out to the mortgage person first, because to Taylor's point, it's not just online app, I'm qualified. There's a lot of real strategic things. And let's just, say this is the biggest asset, one of the biggest assets you might be either purchasing or selling in your life. So you do want a professional. You want to look at all the various pieces of the puzzle and see what's the best fit for you.
Agreed. I went to a conference in 2019 and they were talking about fintech. So that's finance technology.
Okay.
And for the first probably like 30, this was a 4-day conference. The first 30 minutes of the conference was all about fintech and how it was going to destroy our business. And I was sitting there and I'm like, what are these people talking about? Like, this is,
for 4 more days.
How am I going to do this for 4 days? Fintech
Yeah.
is not going to destroy my business at all. And they basically just wanted to get that out of the way to kind of plant a seed to talk to us about how our business, we are the most important thing. And it's really about the professionals of being able to help people. A computer program is only as good as the information that you put into it. And so when we're going through, we want to take a look at what's happening in the current marketplace and what product's going to be best for you. One of the very first questions that I ask somebody when they're thinking about buying a home is, how long are you planning on being in the home?
Yeah.
I need to know how long you're planning on being in the home, because that's going to determine what kind of loan product is going to be best for you. Something that we ask, are you a veteran? If somebody says yes, that they're a veteran, then we could be able to look at VA options.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you a disabled veteran? Because if you're a disabled veteran, the VA product's fantastic because you don't have to pay the upfront funding fee. If you are not, then it's typically not as good of a product unless you don't have any cash down. So those are the things that we can go through and find out what's going to be best for you. How much do you want your monthly payment to be? So if somebody comes in, they're like, I'm comfortable with a $5,000 payment. Okay, this person's a little bit of a baller. We can be able to get them taken care of. Let's see if they qualify for that $5,000 payment, since they're saying that they could be able to afford it.
Sure.
And if that's the case, we can go on a shorter term. Our shorter terms sometimes don't have closing costs. So
Right.
there's a lot of different things that we can be able to take a look at. One of the things that's really kind of, with rates going up, ARM products. So that's a new thing that really hasn't been talked about for the past 3 or 4 years, but those are just things that are on the horizon. All of this stuff is ever changing. We can have conversations with people to help them find the right product that's going to be best for them.
And I also just want to throw in there that information is free. Really creating a relationship with your loan officer is a positive thing that you should be doing. So again, the idea is just getting free information. Taylor, you're not going to stalk them and knock on their door at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, evening for dinner. It's just, I mean, honestly, just getting as much information as you can so you and your family can make the best decision for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Short and sweet.
So sometimes questions that people ask, how do they be able to get in contact with, like, what's the best way to be able to do this? Because sometimes I know that even very educated people, they feel uncomfortable calling because they'll just start rambling. And all of a sudden I'm 5 minutes into listening to them and they'll just be like, I feel like I'm just rambling right now. And I'll be like, you are rambling. What are you trying to accomplish? And it's just because they're really uncomfortable and they don't even know where to start. And that's the thing, like, we do this all day, every day. That's okay. Just tell me what you're trying to accomplish and we can be able to help you go through that. We sometimes are a little bit more relaxed about, we know that this is a huge financial decision and everything that's going on, but we are very relaxed about it because we've done it dozens and if not hundreds of times.
Yes.
It's something that's very easy to be able to go through and do. We understand that that's a lot of stress. We want to remove some of that stress and just kind of help you through that process.
Yeah, and I think if I can relate it to making lasagna. Okay, so I know I'm married to the Italian, but here's the thing. You have to have all the ingredients prepared, chopped, ready to go, sauteed before you put it in the big lasagna pan. So with Taylor, you are starting with, what do you even buy first? Then he's going to tell you how to cut, how to chop, how to da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Okay, just relating to the cooks out there. So.
Absolutely. James,
all righty.
You got any questions?
So far, no.
Okay. Well, send us your questions if you have them.
Yes.
It helps us, kind of gets the juices flowing. Okay. So our next one, contacting your real estate agent to discuss the current value of your home.
Yeah, and I think this is important to acknowledge the strategy that needs to go into play here and some of the anxieties, because let's be honest, how do you manage these two things, you as a family with walking the dog and feeding the kids and you're running late in the school and, oh my God, my house has to be clean because it has to be on the market. Like, there's a million different scenarios. And so the first thing that we just want to take a step back, let's not dive into that yet. We want to take a step back and look at the formula. The formula is number one, what can I qualify for? The second formula is, okay, what is my house worth, right? How much equity do I have in my home? Is it even worth it for us to sell the house, pull the equity out, maybe upsize the house, maybe downsize the house? Like, those are conversations you're going to want to have as a family, but you need the data first. So my job, after you speak to Taylor, you get part A squared away. My job then is to come in and say, okay, let's look at part B. Part B is, let's look at the current value of the house. That's called a market analysis. And the market analysis, there's three components that make that up. It's what are the sales of all the homes around your neighborhood, around your property. It is the location, and it's also the condition of your home. So it's important. Sure, you could go and find an online tool and just look at more or less what you think the value is. But what I can tell you is certain locations can command a higher price or a lower price. Busy streets, another interesting component. The condition of your house, are projects unfinished? There are certain things that maybe you need to take care of. First of all, yeah, of course. And especially right now, 2022, this moment in time, homes are staying on the market a little bit longer, and people are expecting really pristine looking, well put together homes. So these are conversations that you want to have with a professional realtor. You want to have them come in, look at your house, and send you a market analysis.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're talking about what goes into the value of a home. I know everybody's always said a corner lot is a more valuable lot. I live on a corner lot. So I was like, oh, my home's going to be worth more. Well, I live on 10th East. And so when I got my value back, I actually got a 10% deduction in the value of my home because I'm considered to be living on a busy street. And so I was thinking, what the heck is going on? This was nice to be able to sit down with the appraiser and talk to him about that sort of stuff. I feel like this stuff is always good to be able to have. Knowledge is important. And so I feel like these are good things to be able to go through. I like to talk to people about a financial analysis each individual year, your annual financial analysis.
Yes, you're a big fan of that.
I am. I talk to people about this all the time. We go through all of your loans to look at your current financial structure and what's going on. Talk to your real estate agent, talk to your mortgage officer, talk to your homeowner's insurance agent. Make sure that you're just in the best possible position. At the end of these conversations, and this is always a good thing, if I don't have anything to be able to offer somebody, I say, Mr. Member, you are actually in the best possible financial position that you can be able to be in. A lot of things can be able to change with time. We've had some things happen with COVID where some people just didn't feel comfortable. And so they did have an influx of income that they maybe got from the government, but they had a decrease of income because they weren't going out nearly as much. And so sometimes their credit card debt maybe started to grow a little bit. Well, there's easy things that they could be able to do to remedy that once we're done. We just want to, any way that we can be able to give information to be able to help you with that stuff. And I feel like if you own a home, contacting your real estate agent and talking to them about the current market analysis, just so that you have an idea of how much your home is worth. Because a lot of times I hear this all the time. Well, so-and-so down the street sold their home for $675 and my house is nicer than their house. I rarely hear people say, well, our house isn't nearly as nice as that person's. That's just, they always talk to me about how they're more upgrades and stuff like that. But there could be a big difference in being a couple streets away.
Absolutely.
I know, is it 15th East in Sugar House or 17th or 1700 East? There's one area where, like, if you live above it, there's a drastic increase in value.
There are streets like that throughout the valley.
So that's where, I mean, it's just important to know that stuff. And Beth can be able to talk to you about that. And if you don't feel like you understand, or if you feel that the information could be different, then we can be able to talk about that stuff. One of the things I really like that Beth could be able to help you with is that, what are some projects that I could be able to do to increase my curb appeal or to increase the value of my home that's not going to hit my pocketbook really hard.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. I'm sure if any of you are just even glancing online, right? I mean, it's really important. Everyone shops online now. It's very different from 10 years ago. And so having a well put together home, having things neat and tidy, neutral colors, obviously, projects fixed, are really important in that process, especially now as things are sitting on the market a bit longer. It feels like it almost has to be a hotel looking in a way. I know, take a deep breath. I get it. You're like, but I've got 3 kids. How are we going to do that if we go through this process? We'll work through it. We'll figure it out. We can block certain times that are showings and certain times that are not. The great news is you're in charge of that. So we don't want to add more stress into your life. We do realize moving is stressful. So we want to work around the parameters that work for you and your family.
Okay, so just to recap halfway through, first step, if you're thinking about possibly going through the buying sell process, you want to talk to a mortgage officer so that we can be able to help you with your financial aspect. After I go through and answer all of those questions, the very next thing is that we want to get the real estate agent involved. And I always give them best information so that we can be able to say, hey, you need to contact Beth because you need to get a value of your home from a professional's opinion. I know that you feel that your home is worth X, but the market is changing.
Well, it is changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like for a while through 2019, 20, and 21, if it was my neighbor sold their home for $575, then it was like, okay, we're going to sell your home for $600,000. Like that was just kind of, and then the next home was $25,000.
Like it's been a heck of a couple of years.
And that's just not necessarily going to be the case anymore. So that's where you want to go through because you can really get yourself into trouble. We were just talking right before we went on. You can get yourself into trouble if you list your home for too much money. Like you're just spinning your wheels.
There's no strategy around that. It just sits and sits and sits and sits, and people think what's wrong with the house, and it's not a good. You wanna go out the door with a strategic number, a number that works for you, and a number that your agent recommends can sell.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I love that we're doing this in steps, and again, it's a formula, guys. So step 1 is the financing part. Step 2 is there equity? What could I get out of it? And then do those 2 numbers make sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a question come in.
Yeah.
From Ann, can you buy with a reverse mortgage on an $850,000 house? I would put down $700,000, need reverse for $150,000.
Yeah,
wow.
Absolutely. That's something that you
Good
definitely
question.
can be able to do. The mechanism's the same. So whether you're using a reverse mortgage product or using a regular mortgage product, I would want to have a detailed conversation and just ask questions. I'm not saying putting that much down is not wise, but I would like to have a conversation. And is it possible that because you don't need to put that much down to be able to do the reverse mortgage. So when you're purchasing a home with a reverse mortgage, 60% typically is how much you guarantee that you have to put down for that. Is there something else that you could be able to do with that money to be able to help impact your life because you're not making a payment, whether it's $100,000 or $300,000 or $350,000. So I'd want to have a conversation about that just to kind of make sure that you're comfortable with what you're doing. But absolutely, you can be able to do that. Buying with the only thing with a reverse mortgage is that the loan process takes longer. It's more tedious. There's more steps that you need to do. But
what's the typical reverse mortgage time frame?
90
days?
I can be honest with you. I've never done a purchase with a reverse mortgage. I only know this from talking to people. I've just not something that I've done. I would say probably that, well, it's still the same thing though. I'd say 30, 40 days would be a normal time frame. You could probably do it in 30 days, but it's just like what we're talking about here. There are things that you need to do with the reverse mortgage that you don't do with a normal loan. And so there's counseling. There's steps that you need to go through. You can go through all that stuff prior to. So once again, it's being ahead of the curve so that when you do find that property, you're not waiting because there's only certain people that can be able to do that financial counseling for a reverse mortgage. And it may be difficult to be able to get into that.
And is that a required step too?
For a reverse mortgage, it is.
That's a required step.
Required step. So you have to meet with a financial counselor. You get a counseling certificate that you've gone through. Those courses take an hour to 4 hours, depending on the type of person. It's very, very good information, but they may be 10 days out to be able to get you in. Those things do cost money. They usually cost anywhere between like $150 to $300. So there's some steps that you have to go through to be able to do that stuff. But once again, you want to have all that stuff ready to go so that you can be able to go through and make that offer on the home.
So you can get that information to Ann if she reaches out to you?
I would love to be able to talk to Ann about that. I think a reverse mortgage, I'm pro reverse mortgage. I tell people that. A lot of people have really bad thoughts on reverse mortgage. I'm very pro reverse mortgage. I think it's a great product. Once again, it's not for everybody, but it can be a great tool to help somebody in their later years of life.
Excellent.
Okay.
Let's see, Mylene asks, do you pull a credit report during the talk with the mortgage officer?
It's a great question. We don't have to. So we talked about that in the first webinar. I'll bring
Yeah,
that up. I'm glad you
definitely.
brought that up. Thanks for that question. When we meet, we do not need to pull credit. We can go through, if you have your information. I asked you what your income is. Do you have W-2 income? Are you self-employed? Do you have overtime income or overtime? Do you have bonus income? We go through and get a full financial picture of your income that we have coming in. Then we ask about your debts. What debts do you have, and go through. We can be able to do quite a bit of stuff without pulling credit. Your credit is meant to be pulled. And so it's not something that I would just willy-nilly pull credit, but it's not something that I would be afraid to pull credit. So if you are at a stage where you just want to have a conversation, and I ask this question to people, if you were to find the perfect home today, would you make an offer on it? If you say no to that, I don't think we're at the stage where we need to pull credit. I don't think we're at that stage. So if you say yes to that, then I think we're at the stage where we need to get a pre-approval letter for you. So we can be able to have lots of conversations without pulling credit. The information's only as good as what you give me, because I don't have something to verify. So there's plenty of times where somebody will say, we joke about this all the time, oh yeah, my home's paid off. And then we pull credit and they've got $130,000 home equity line of credit.
Whoops.
So those are the sorts of things, but it's because they feel like they don't have a mortgage.
Right.
It just gives us that verification. Yeah. But when we're initially having conversations, we do not need to pull credit. We can be able to do 95% of the steps that we need to with the finances without pulling credit.
Awesome. Very good.
Great, that's all we got for now.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so next page, you need to have your real estate team assembled and make sure that we're on the same page. I tell everybody this that I meet with is that you need to have 100% trust in your loan officer. You need to have 100% trust in your real estate agent. If you don't have that trust of them, you need to find a new loan officer.
Move on.
You need to find a new real estate agent.
Yep.
This is way too important for you to feel like you're not getting correct information, or you feel like you can't trust this person, that they don't have your needs first and foremost.
Or getting a call back.
Oh, 100%.
I think that is the first red flag if you're not getting a call back. And I mean, to your point, Taylor, it's a major financial investment, probably one of the largest ones you're going to have in your life. And so you want to have the key players on the same page here.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, and there may be more key players to it than just those people. And so sometimes if we're pulling money out of a 401k, we need to have the financial advisor in on all of that stuff. So it's just making sure that we have everybody on the same page. How long does it take to be able to get that money out? Can I fill out the paperwork now and not turn it in?
Right.
So it's just all of those things to make sure we're on the same page. There are dozens of ways that you can be able to put it together to be able to buy a home and sell a home simultaneously. We need to find out what's comfortable for you and what your situation is. And that's where getting together and going through and finding out, how is it going to be better for you as the consumer? Do we need to have your home under contract first before you start shopping? Do we need to have you start shopping and find a home and then list your home right after that? Those are all things that we can be able to go through and talk to you about. What do you feel more comfortable about that? You talked about language in the contract to be able to protect the people.
Yeah, and so that's one of the main things. Again, let's recognize the greatness of what we're trying to do. Not on our end, but really with you and your family. So we're trying to put a major asset under contract and sell your asset. And so it's really important, and just know you're protected by language we write in either contract. You know, there is language we want to put into the contract that gives a certain expiration date. If you don't find a house by X period of time, the house you're living in isn't going to go to the new buyer and you're going to be homeless. There's ways to protect you as the consumer, but we want to kind of figure out, after we've done, you know, part A and part B, we want to come together as a group now and kind of look at, okay, what is the best way for you to move forward with your family? Would you prefer to say, I'm not leaving my house, I like my house, I'm not going to leave it until I find a house that I want to buy? Okay, we're all on hold. Once you identify a home that you would like to buy, we have all the financing, all the pre-approval, all the ducks in a row. Taylor understands your strategy. Then we move forward in that direction. We could put the other house up for sale with very specific language, so no one is homeless, right, during this transaction. So just know there are ways to cover you, to protect you, which is our job to do that.
Absolutely. And each buyer is going to care about different things, and each party of the buyer is going to care about different things. And so we just want to make sure that we are comfortable or making you comfortable with what you're looking for so that we can be able to take care of the needs that you have that need to be met with what your transaction is specifically.
Definitely.
We had Louise ask, I'm interested in determining when and how is the best time to sell / how to sell ideally without paying capital gains on a house that is currently a rental. Do you have recommendations regarding real estate consultants I could contact?
Well, that would be me, Louise.
Well, there's a couple people I think that you're going to need to contact. First,
Not just real
You're going to
estate.
need to talk to the real estate agent about the sales part of it. There are things that are available. This is where our people that we can be able to help with. When she initially says that, there's once again more questions I'd want to ask, but
Definitely.
a 1031 exchange is the first thing that comes to mind, so that you can be able to move your assets and what you make from this property. If you're moving it into another property, you only have a certain amount of time to be able to do that, though.
Right.
So once again, it's sort of staying ahead of that curve and just having the conversation about, okay, what's the next property that you're looking to purchase? How can we be able to help with the financing on that aspect, and to be able to go through and make sure that we've got everything in place. We work with hundreds of people, and so we have different professionals that are available in any situation. That if you need to talk to somebody about something, I want to put you in touch with it. My 1031 exchange people, First American Title, Crystal Shelley, is who I recommend to contact. Crystal's not the one that does it, but people in her office do, so she gets them over to the 1031 department. Any situation that you're in, we can be able to give you somebody that we trust, a professional, to be able to help you with that aspect.
And then I'm not sure, Louise, if you understand what a 1031 is specifically. However, it's just a way, as Taylor said, to sell a house, not get taxed, and move that income to a different property.
Yep.
Maybe you wanted another property, maybe you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's where then we need to help you engage in an accountant.
Yep.
So I don't know if you use an accountant to help file your taxes, you're going to want to talk to them about the capital gains, what the number is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so there are ways, again, this is a situation that we can help just manage where to go and what to do. And we can provide data to you to help you understand the value of your home.
Absolutely.
Or I can provide data to you.
Yeah, there's lots of questions that you want to ask prior to giving any advice. And that's where just to have get the whole picture of what's going on.
Yeah,
a lot of different avenues
definitely.
there. Okay. All right. Now that we have a plan in place, now that you have a plan, let's get your financing in place. This is really where, if we've got all this stuff, we know that you're comfortable with this plan. This is when we need to pull credit. We need to get you a pre-approval letter. And at that point, we can be able to go through. We're basically just verifying everything that we have before. When I initially meet, I usually ask people to bring their income, W-2, to have that stuff in place so that we have a really, really good picture. And then what we do is basically just get updated pay stubs, get the application done. And this should not take very long. People ask, how quick is it to be able to get a pre-approval letter? If you set up a time, I can get one to you in 90 minutes. So if we set up a time, we meet face-to-face, we go through and do that. If you fill out an online application, then we can be able to get that done for you, usually within 24 hours. So it's not difficult to be able to go through and be able to get the pre-approval letter done. It's a very, very easy process.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So next, we're ready to start shopping when we go through. One of the things we talked about last time, I wanted to bring up again, was the down payment requirements and what's there, and then talk about recasting a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, because this is something that Beth and I have done for a couple people.
And I think this is helpful again in that the questioning anxiety level, right?
Yeah.
You're sitting on a major asset that has probably a lot of equity in your home at the moment. And then when you go to buy a house, well, guess what? You're sitting on all your down.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know you've done quite a number of these for my clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been so helpful.
Let's say you're buying a home for $600,000. You do have to, as I stated earlier, you have to put at least 5% down.
Okay.
So a lot of times people are going to be like, well, am I going to have mortgage insurance? Yes, you're going to have mortgage insurance for the time between when you buy home A and you sell home B. Let's say that you got $300,000 of equity in home B. So at the end, you're only going to have a $300,000 loan. Well, a lot of times people will be concerned that they have to refinance. What is the cost to refinance when I go through? Because I don't want to have that $570,000 loan payment forever. Well, we can be able to do a recast for you, and a recast doesn't cost anything. So in our past situations, what Beth and I have done is that we've helped a person purchase home A. They still own home B.
Right.
They get everything moved into home A. And then what they could be able to do is once home B is ready to be sold, we sell home B. And then you give me a call and say, hey, we just finished this up. I've got all the money in my bank account. I need to move that over into my mortgage on home A. I give Liz Sacramento a call, and it's something that we can usually get done in 48 to 72 hours. The benefit of the recast, it doesn't cost anything, but it's the end payment that you have on the new property is as if you would have put that home down to begin with.
That's
Or
right.
the money, excuse me.
The money
equity
down
down.
to begin with.
Yes.
And I think this is a really crucial thing. It's interesting. A lot of loan offices don't talk about this as often, but this is the way I think to kind of take the angst off of it, is that there's time, there's space, there's the ability to do that. So you don't have to worry about, where am I going to get all the money up front? Taylor will set you up on that whole recasting program. And no one's homeless. We walk you through the A, B, and C scenarios, and we just get it done.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of the other things that people talk about, down payment. We're talking about you have to put a minimum of 5% down. We're talking about $30,000. There's quite a few people that just don't have that sort of money, but they have it in terms of equity.
Yes.
So there's things that you can be able to put in place. This process may take a year. It may take 2 years. This is not something where we're like, somebody gives us a call and we're like, we've got somebody on the hook. We need to get them down right now. We want to move as fast as you want to move to be able to help you. But
that's right.
One of the things that we can be able to do is that you can be able to set up a home equity line of credit. And so setting up a home equity line of credit allows you to be able to set up a loan on your current home that you have. In the event that you need that money and you want to transfer that equity from home A to home B in the future, that's there for you. That doesn't cost anything to be able to set that up. That's something that can be able to be there and just sit there. If it takes you 3 years to be able to go from home A to home, or home B to home A, that's fine. That home equity line of credit can just be able to
Something
be there.
you can use in the future.
So there's lots of different ways that we can be able to set this up. Most of the time when people call us, they've already got a property in mind. And that's where this is one of those things where I always want to, I never say this out loud, but I'm like, man, I wish we would have talked 2 weeks ago. That's my thought process.
You just said it out loud.
Well, yes, now, but the person's not in front of me. So, but I wish that we would have met a couple weeks ago just to really go through it. And if somebody does meet with me in advance, we go through, we have the conversation. It's usually a very easy process. The conversations are much less stressful when I'm talking to them. They are anticipating the answers that I'm giving them on the phone, and everybody's just more comfortable with what's going on rather than the dreaded, I don't know what I'm doing. I think I want to back out of this. They're in tears. They're upset. Or I have a husband calling and he's like, I don't know how to take care of this, Taylor, because my wife's melting down, or vice versa. My husband's really upset and Taylor, I can't get him to understand this. And it's like, oh, this is very, very easy to be able to take care of this, but we're just kind of, there's a lot of angst because we were behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, because we're playing catch up, right? So we want to be prepared and plan properly. We want to be able to be strategic, and it's helpful. We can do that if we talk to you sooner rather than you're already kind of in the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so contacting us. If you would like to contact us to have any questions, our contact information is here. You can be able to call me on my cell phone or text me on my cell phone. I'm available from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. You can send me an email if you want to. I don't get email outside of the office, so that would be normal business hours. I prefer people to text me personally or give me a call on my cell phone. I want to be available for people. If you just have a quick question and just want to give me a call on a Saturday afternoon, I have my phone. Just give me a call and we can be able to start a conversation about anything that you want to talk about.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. So my digits are down there. You're welcome to call or text, email as well. I take email all hours. But one thing I really wanted just to point out as well, if you are currently working with a duo already, a mortgage and a real estate person, or if you're interviewing, I just cannot stress the importance of being in deals where people are not picking up their phone. We're talking about a major financial asset that could really impact your life. So if if someone is not picking up their phone, I want to encourage you to change your lender, change your realtor, find the person that is best for you. Because I have seen deals not go well with people not picking up their phones. There are timelines that are legally built into a contract, and we need to make sure that we're ahead of the game on all those deadlines.
Absolutely. Yeah, we try and be as available as possible for people. And sometimes, you know, people don't hit the mark. And so that's where we want to make sure that we're there to be able to hit that as much as possible. If you just have a quick question, give us a call. I mean, we'd love to be able to help you in any way, shape, or form that we can.
Yeah, for sure.
James, do we have any other
Do we have
questions?
any other questions?
That's it.
All right.
Wow.
I think I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we'd like to bring up or any other questions. Like, gives people 30 seconds to be able to do that. But
Gosh, I can't think of anything.
well, real quickly, I'm at the Brickyard office because I know you guys are all credit union members who are on here. I'm at the Brickyard office. You can stop by the branch anytime to be able to talk to me. I usually work in the office most days. So that's where my location is. But if you have any questions on first mortgages, second mortgages, home equity lines of credit, any of those things, I'm more than happy to be able to help you with any of that stuff. Give me a call. We can be able to talk about it. I like to bring Beth into this because I think knowing the value of your home, there are times where, how much do you think your home is worth? The internet's telling me this. I don't think it's that. I call Beth. I call my real estate partner and ask them how much that they think the home is worth. And so those are things that we can be able to utilize our assets to the best of our ability so that we can be able to find you the best information possible.
That's right.
Okay. If you got any questions, give us a call. We appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.